welcome to my channel. For those of you who don't know, I was accepted into the Disney College program, Fall 2019 program as a lifeguard, and today I went to a character performer audition. My audition was in Seattle. I live in Olympia, so it was about an hour and 20-minute drive for me, but I actually knew a couple girls that flew in from out of state to come to this audition because of how small this audition is. So I heard that the last time they had one here, there was only 40 people, and today there was only 44. I know for sure that there is one in Atlanta, and then there's the one in Florida and New York City, so those are really big. This one was not. So I showed up at about 9:30, which is when they said to arrive, no earlier than that. There was already a group of people standing outside. And so the audition started at 10, and they let us in around, I would say around 9:35, and brought us into the ballet place where we were and told us to make a Disney Auditions account if we hadn't already, which I had. So I just waited around to hear from them again, and they said to come into the ballroom, basically. And that's where they had us sign in for the audition. That's why we created the accounts. And so you typed in the URL, or you could use the QR code that was on the wall, and checked in for your audition. And during the check-in process, they made you take a picture of yourself. So a selfie, or have someone near you take a picture from torso up, just of you smiling. And then you're all checked in. I remember sitting around for maybe about 10 or 15 more minutes until a little bit after 10:30, and then they closed the doors. No one else was allowed in. Check-in's over, and that's when we had just the 44 people. And then I remember them bringing us all to the front and explaining to us that since it was such a small audition, there's going to be no cuts. And like I said, I was expecting that. So we just jumped right into it. We filled out paperwork, we got measured for heights, and then we started animating. We did a couple warm-ups, but then they gave us the scenario, which was you're in Monsters, Inc., and you're a monster, and you're going through 3 sets of doors, and what's on the other side of the door? Tell a story. And so I struggled a little bit with that because I had never heard of that scenario. I'd heard of the zookeeper, villains, the toy maker and stuff, but I hadn't heard of that one. And so it was hard that they wanted 3 separate doors, so you had to really come up with creative stuff. You didn't want to just come in and be just do typical monster stuff. She said she wanted to be able to see what you were doing. If you're just flailing your arms around and then say, oh, I just took a bath, she can't see that. You need to really exaggerate all the movements you're doing. So I believe that I did baking a cake, and then fighting a fire, and I don't even know if I made it to the 3rd door, which is fine because as long as you're really detailed in what you're doing, I guess it doesn't really matter. And if you run out of doors, I guess make a 4th or 5th door, but it just matters about how clean your movements are, and if they can tell what you're doing. Don't be small, don't get down on the ground, show them, be big inside of your little bubble and tell a story with your actions. You don't need noise, you don't need to stomp around, show them with your hands and your facial expressions. And so that was definitely new. It felt so silly at first, but they said if you don't feel silly doing it, you are not doing it right. And so after we did the animation without music, we did it to music, and then without music again, and then we did it to music, but we separated, and one group did it and then went off the floor, and then another group did it and went off the floor, and then immediately after we did the dance. And so since there was no cuts, we didn't do the easy dance, the short little 1 or 2 8 counts. We did quite a long part of the song, Can't Stop the Beat, I don't know, from Hairspray.
Don't kill me, I've not seen Hairspray, so I was unfamiliar with this song.
And so it had a couple grapevines and jazz squares and pirouettes and pivot turns and stuff I'd never heard of. And me and my friend Bailey, that I met through the Facebook page and created a group chat with a few other girls, and we kind of met up when we first came in. We like looked at each other and we're like, because we both do not dance, and we were just getting so lost. But thankfully the choreographers really explained everything well, and like if you had questions, like you can raise your hand and ask. Nobody really did except for Bailey and like maybe one other person, but I honestly wish more people would have asked, and I guess that's, you know, my bad as well. Like I should have asked too, but I was just like getting so lost after the first couple 8 counts. But I just kept a smile on my face, and even if I was messing up, I didn't let it show. I like made up my own dance moves if I totally blanked on what the steps were, because honestly I think they just want to see your personality and that you can animate and like be big and be bold and be happy. So it doesn't matter if you're a great dancer. They said if that you nailed that dance but your animation sucked, that you probably weren't going to get the job. And so that really stuck with me. So I really was more focused on my animation than anything. And so I remember after doing the dance multiple times without music, we did it to music and then a couple more times without, and then we divided again and did that. And then they explained to us kind of how it was going to work. We were going to divide up into groups of 5, do the dance twice, switching lines, and then go straight into animation. And then he would tell us if we needed to hang back and stay, or if you were free to go. If you're free to go, that doesn't necessarily mean you didn't get it. You're just not being considered for face character. I believe only a few people got asked to stay behind for face character at this audition. I wasn't for sure because my whole group was free to go, so I didn't stick around. I had to go to class, so I don't actually know how many officially made it to the end. But I think we're all technically like in consideration for a performer at this point since there was no cuts. But like I said, we won't hear back until like March 20th, no later than March 29th. So it's gonna be a long couple weeks, and it was kind of like shocking how many people there hadn't been accepted yet. So just because you haven't been accepted does not mean you can't go to these. You just can't be NLIC'd, which is no longer in consideration. But you can go if you haven't applied yet, or if your, phone interview hasn't been completed. Like, that's okay. Any step in the process, as long as you haven't been told you're not in consideration anymore. So me and like a handful of other people had already been accepted, but yeah, it was kind of crazy to see how many like hadn't even applied yet. So he encouraged anyone that hadn't applied yet to do it like ASAP, because applications are closing. I know there's only a few more tour dates, so decisions are going to be made pretty soon. So yeah, don't think you can't go just because you haven't been accepted. And also, don't think you can't go because you're not a great dancer. And don't be nervous. Do not be nervous. I was nervous, but as soon as I got there, kind of like all my nerves went away, because they made it feel so fun, and like everyone was so happy. I mean, everyone's in like the Disney like mood and vibe, and you're just with people who love Disney and are gonna work for Disney, and just the energy is incredible, and you can't help but just feel a lot more comfortable. Even though I was messing up, I was just having so much fun. And if I don't get the role, it's okay. I'm so excited to be a lifeguard, and it was just such a fun experience, and now I know what I can do better for the character performer audition at the end of my program. So, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below or through Instagram. But best of luck to anyone that's gonna go and apply or has applied. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you in my next video.